Hey guys, I'm Aidan.
And I'm Catherine.
And today we're going to be breaking down strategy tips for your source analysis external for history at any level.
While it may not be a popular comparison, sources can often be thought as the unfamiliar text of humanities. You won't have to prepare for any kind of specific context because it will be provided in the exam, and you're only expected to interpret and analyse what they provide.
You'll be given question prompts that you answer using the resource booklet. That booklet will contain a range of source formats that you can draw together to get an idea of the event as a whole and the groups or individuals involved in it.
So without further ado, let's get into some strategy tips.
Let's start with the source material. The questions will explicitly tell you which sources you should be using in your answer. Use absolutely every single one they suggest, because if it's mentioned, it means it has some kind of connection that they're wanting you to draw. It can feel tedious and repetitive, but believe me, it's what they want. On the other hand, don't bother trying to discuss resource H when they only wanted you to draw upon A to G. Next, I just want you to know that it's okay to write on the resource booklet. You have the option of taking the resource booklet away with you, so don't feel bad about writing, highlighting, and making notes over it. Do a preliminary run-through to get an idea of the event and relevant people. When you answer later questions, you'll be better able to answer it because you're piecing the sources together rather than trying to wrap your head around what the event even is.
Next, it's important to think about the types of sources. To be able to analyse a source, you have to be able to identify a few different things. Is it primary or secondary? What are the implications of this? How biased is the information? Is there a perspective or opinion provided that may take away from the validity of the piece? How is this taken into consideration? And of course, we need to make sure we're answering the question. When writing your answers, it's super important that you're addressing all the mini bullet points within the context of the whole question. This means answering all of the individual components and bring it back to the overarching question at the end. It's a good idea to read your answers over to ensure that you're actually doing this. It's super easy to complete the final bullet point and zoom on over to the next question without thinking. And finally, assessing reliability. A typical final question will ask you to assess the reliability of the sources you have been using. This is your chance to poke holes in everything you've read and play devil's advocate. You should be thinking about the accuracy of the information and if it's a fair description of events. Consider both the strengths and weaknesses of the piece. Critical thinking involves weighing up both the pros and cons and coming to your own conclusion based off of that. Maybe a piece is well written, but when you look at the reference, you see it's authored by someone very opinionated and biased. This would immediately take away from the validity and reliability of this piece, and it is definitely worth noting in your responses.
So let's recap. Source analysis can feel like a tedious exam with a lot of page flipping back and forth and thinking on the spot. It's really just a big research external. You don't have to have perfect answers, but insight and critical thought will help you a lot in guiding your responses.
We've covered some important strategies and things to remember, but we haven't covered everything. We really recommend going through the last 3 to 4 years of exam papers to get an idea of the way questions are asked and what you can expect when you go in on the day.
Cheers for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you took something away from this, and good luck with the exam.